Just introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Sarah Bailey, and I was born Sarah Milliner. My dad was Dave Milliner, and Jeffrey Milliner was my parents. My dad came back from Pennsylvania in here in 1927. He got a job in the Pocahontas coal mines, and we had a family of 6 children, mom and dad. My brothers all went to service, and my dad continued working in Pocahontas coal mines until 1949. And then the mines were shutting down, so he had to go over to Mayberry and get a job there in the mines. And mother was always a housekeeper at home. She never worked out. I met my husband in 1949. We met in August and we married in December, which was love of our life, I guess. And he was a Korean War. He came back home in 1951 from service. We had our first daughter in 1953, which we named Sandra. And then we had another daughter, Karen, and then we had another son, Timothy. And then in 1969, we adopted our baby daughter, which was 2 months old at the time, Nancy. And right now we have 6 great-grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. And they all attend Pocahontas School. All the grandchildren, or great-grandchildren, attend Pocahontas High School. And all of my children graduated from Pocahontas High School. And my sisters and brothers, I had one brother passed away, Bill, in 1994. And the rest of my brothers and sisters, Edward and Woody, lives here. My sister lives here, Jane. And I have a brother lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, or Kentucky. And I guess that's my life. Okay.
And who was your parents? And
Now, who was your parents? Go ahead.
My parents were Frank and Della Bailey. They live over here on Pilchester Mountain, and he was originally from Callisville, and where Grandpa and Grandma Bailey lived, and so he come out and got a job in the coal mines. He went into the coal mines here in, I think it's 1926, and he got broke up in the mines in a slate fall. He was in a slate fall, and at the time they thought he was dead, you know, at that time. So he got broke up pretty bad, but he managed to stay with that same company, but he made him a dispatcher, you know. And he was a dispatcher for quite a few years, and then he got a job with Pocahontas Fuel here over at Jenkins Jones, and he stayed there till they shut down, you know, and Dad went to mines there, and finally when I got old enough, well, he got me a job there. I was 18 years old, you know, so I went in to the mines too, you know. Well, the work got slow, so I got out. I joined the Army, and I spent the first 2.5 years in career, you know, in 1950 with the 3rd Infantry Division. And then I came back. I went back in the mines with the same company, Pocahontas Fuel, you know, and I worked there till they started shutting down. Work got bad in the 50s, and they sent me to Sagamore and around, and finally I come back, and I had to leave here again, and I went to Newport News, Virginia, where I drove a city bus for 9 years, and I stayed there till my brother talked me into coming back and going back into mines. So I did. I come back and went with U.S. Steel, you know, over here at Gary, West Virginia, and stayed with them 17 years, where I run a motor and pulling coal and stuff like that, you know. And my whole family was just about coal miners. My dad and my brothers, they were coal miners, and me, I finally had to retire there in '86. You know, I got sick and I had to retire. So I spent 32 years in the coal mines. and I spent a lot of time in this town here. From about, I was, say, 14, 15 years old, I used to run the streets here in Pocahontas, you know. Well, if you could get through the streets, a lot of time on certain nights you couldn't, you know. But as a youngster, I got a job with Kroger's over in Keystone. And they had the train here in Pocahontas, you know. So I would walk about 3 or 4 miles over to Mayberry and catch a train. It cost me 16 cents to go to Keystone. I'd do my work there, and then I'd have to catch a train to come back, you know. Well, instead of getting off at Mayberry, I would, for 16 cents, you know, the old conductor, he done got the money and the tickets, you know. So I would come on into Pocahontas, and I was underage, had to be 16 years old. And anyway, when I got out off the train, I had to dodge the laws too, you know, because I was underage. But my buddy, he was going home. He was older. There was 2 of us. And so I was actually growing up in this town. But I'm going to tell you, on weekends and places like that, you couldn't hardly walk through this town. You couldn't get in a place of business, you know. You had to just shove your way in. And most times you done any fighting, you had to come out in the middle of the street to do it, you know. So that was finally stayed there and finally met my wife here, and we got married and raised 4 kids, you know, adopted. Well, actually 5. And we got one daughter, Sandy. She's manager over here at Belt's department store. She's the manager. And I had one daughter, Karen. She would put her time through the telephone company, you know. And they had I also had a real estate business up here in Bluefield, you know. It's select property. And my other daughter, she's in Richmond now, the one that we adopted and raised. And I have a son too that works at up here at Walmart's. He's in Walmart's, you know. And of course we got grandchildren, and you know, quite a few grandchildren, and great grandchildren. We got some mean, they're mean now, but anyway, it's we've had a good life. We had a good life here together. And Pocahontas, I can remember when they was 25 to 30 inns, beer joints and inns and stuff here in this town. And this town was lively. It was about the liveliest town around here back in those days. And when you got to be 18, well, the law was then you could buy beer, you know, you could buy a beer and whiskey then. So we'd come over here and do our drinking and stuff. And of course I mean, I'm not proud of that. I'm a Christian now, you know, I serve the Lord, and that's the best part of my life, you know, now. But I spent a good many days here in this town, and everything that, they used to have big circuses come in here, had carnivals and everything up here where the old Pocahontas, where Pocahontas High School sits now. And we used to attend them, you know, but we had to do walking. We didn't have no cars. And they had theater up here. You'd have to work a whole corner or something like that to get enough to come to the movie. They had a Palace Theater up here.